Hello, Overworld. I bid welcome to all, to the Minecraftian sailing the open oceans, to the player on the highest summit of some foreign world, to those archaeologists in the deserts, to those exploring the void called the End, to those embattled and entrenched in the Nether. I welcome you all to the 26th edition of Realm News, Piglins, Brutes, and Zombie Piglins. I am your host, the one, the only, the Dark Lord. The one who puts the real in realm and expands your mind one block at a time. All of you who have been following the show know that we have began a trek through the Nether. For you new to the show, welcome to the Nether. We started this off with Nether portals. Then we covered the Blaze last week. Well, today is all about those greedy piglins and their sickly cousins, the zombie piglins and Piglin Brutes. Today we will cover the behaviors of the piglins, zombie piglins, and Piglin Brutes, and the piglins' history in Minecraft. I will link this swine with the real by telling you about the legend of the Northfield Pigman right after our weekly poll that you will not want to miss. Bring your snowballs, swords, and crossbows, and let us all venture back into the Nether and barter with a few piglins. You will want to wear something gold on you. That is just a small caveat. So for those of you who are familiar with the Realm News format, then you know that it's poll time. Yes, it is poll time, that segment of the show where we hear right from the Minecraft community, as we do every week, right before we go into the real of the show. And today's poll is based on last week's mob, the Blaze. Yes, that flying inferno that attacks on sight. Let me tell you what the poll question is that I asked the people. Quote, is the Blaze mechanically made or a naturally evolved entity? I am curious to know what the Minecraft community theorizes on the Blaze. Was this monster created or fabricated by something other? Or is it a naturally evolved organism in this biome being the Nether? Now, there is a reason why I would ask if the Blaze was mechanically created. The most stark evidence of this to me is their breathing. It sounds like wind forcefully going through a vent, or that air is being forced out of a wide, hollow metal pipe of sorts. As I said in the last week's episode, they sound like an off-brand Darth Vader. Now, I presented three options on this week's poll. Now, I'll start them off right now. 1, it is a made machine. 2, it is naturally evolved. Or 3, other, just a vague other. I myself chose that it is a fabricated machine. I have no clue what created them, but I think that they were made by something else. Maybe magic. I won't dismiss magic. I am just swayed by its mechanical breathing and its design. It just screams a robot sentry guard to me, especially since it is only found around Nether fortresses. Seems that it was built to guard these fortresses. Even the name Fortress suggests that it has some defense mechanisms in place to safeguard it. The total amount of votes for this poll this week came out to be 14. I know, not the biggest, but I'll take it. 14's not bad. Now, this choice of it unnaturally made, I'll just list off right now. That choice of it being unnaturally made, like fabricated from something else, had a total of 8 votes. 8 people out there believe, including myself, that something created this contraption. This was the winner of this week's poll. I bet I caught you all off guard by reading the winner first this week, because typically I go with the loser first. I wanted to just spice it up a little bit, I suppose. Now, who do you think made this? Piglins, Ancient Builders, The Wither? Well, let's hear from a Minecraftian who placed a comment in the poll, who goes by, and this is a little bit hard to pronounce this name here. Raguvanshir says, quote, "The blaze is made by a spawner, so are artificial, and it drops blaze rods, and rods are normally present in machines. And finally, the fact that it is made to defend in a fortress probably means it's artificial, so I think it is a machine," end quote. Now, Raguvanshir pleads a great case for the blaze being a machine, and they mentioned something there that did not cross my mind till I read that quote. The blaze is indeed generated from spawners on or in nether fortresses, which is very intriguing to think about. The spawners themselves, those heinous looking metal barred cages, have many theories floating around on the internet and how they operate. It could be magic that is spawning mobs from these, well, spawners. I can see where Raguvanshir is coming from in this comment. But I agree more with the part where they mention that it is a machine due to it dropping blaze rods. These golden blaze rods that look like rolling pins are very unique. I find them to resemble machine parts as well. You also do not see many cylinders in this square universe, which I find to be of interest just in itself. But I must ask this. If this is a machine, then why can I crush up the blaze rods into a blaze powder with my bare hands, similar to other soft items like flowers to dye? I just find that to be, peculiar and unmachine-like to be that fragile and soft. Now, moving on to second place with a very humble 4 votes is Other, which is the most general option I could put on this poll. But I did happen to get a hint of what people were meaning by other. Allow me to read another comment by a fellow who goes by the name Gaznark. Gaznark has commented several times on Realm News, so it's always a pleasure to have you on the show, Gaznark. Thank you. They went ahead and said, quote, "It's a created organism, a golem. It's not a machine, but it is living like iron and snow golems," end quote. Interesting. Very interesting. Similar to a golem. That there has never occurred to me, honestly. That is food for thought. Thank you, Gaznark. If you remember episode 16, Iron Golem's Pumpkin Part 2, I talked quite extensively on my golem theory and linked much of that to the pumpkin, and comparing its creation to real-world golem lore and mysticism. The Iron Golem can be animated by you or I and by villagers. The Snow Golem as well, except for villagers aren't able to make those. But we can by using the pumpkin, which I referred to as being the amulet, as that is what it would be called in real life. This comment reminds me of an article I read on real-world golems. It explained that they were neither machine nor living, but something other. Something that was driven by magic or mysticism rather than blood or bolts. But my question is, who summoned the blaze then? What is its amulet? The blaze rod itself? The blaze rod that it drops? Many questions can derive around this alone. But I see where Gaznark is coming from, and I really enjoyed that comment, and thank you so much for that. Allow me to move on to the loser of this week's poll, or at least popular choice of the three, the least popular choice of the 3, I should say. And as you have all guessed, Naturally Evolved was the last choice in this poll. With a total of 2 votes, Other was so general that I can see why it beat out this one. The blaze looking so apparently machine-like and sounding like one is, I think, the reason that it won this week's poll. But I am a bit disappointed to see that this one came in third, because honestly, it is difficult to back up that it was a machine which was made. What could have made it? Piglins, like I've been asking? That would be the only species in the Nether capable of constructing anything this elaborate. They have the brains to barter at least and make clothes, crossbows, and weapons. I could see these actually evolving from the smoldering lava fields, the blaze I'm referring to. I mean, they are called the blaze, the hottest creature in the game. Now, I would like to read one last comment that I found to be very informative. It is by Zol is here. Quote, "The truth is that we can't say for sure, but we do know that it's a fire elemental, specifically those from Dungeons and Dragons. Since Jeb in the Meet the Wither page in minecraft.net told us that he grabbed concepts from a game he previously worked on, Whispers of Akara. And there is one enemy just exactly like the Minecraft Blaze with the same name, and the addition of the new breeze confirms the idea of it being an elemental mob. In Minecraft Dungeons, we see blazes roaming the landscape, albeit you could say that they explored the land once spawned. So it can go either way. As an elemental, it could emerge from the ground or it could be formed by someone. Personally, I believe they are some sort of golem since they have organic eyes and when hitting them sounds metallic. Fun fact, if you heal them underwater, they can actually drown." End quote. Wow. That is a great comment that enlightened me on many things. I had no idea that the Blaze may have some connection to Dungeons and Dragons. Honestly, I'm not familiar at all with D&D. Not that I'm against it or anything. I just never had the opportunity to play it, so I'm ignorant to the game. But the connection they made with the breeze being added to the game, supporting the natural earth elements theory, is amazing to know. Also, I had no idea that the blaze may have been inspired from another video game called Whispers of Akara, which Jeb was part of. Very intriguing. I would love to hear what you all have to say on that. realmnews247@gmail.com or Reddit or the Discord. Write in and let me know. But they are also on the side of them being more in the Golem family, just like Gaznark's statement earlier. This is a great theory that took me off guard, but I am starting to become more and more convinced by this theory now. Perhaps they are summoned from the spawner by something otherworldly and certainly sinister. Perhaps we will find out more in future updates. Thank you so much, Zola's here, for that very informative and interesting comment. Now that we have heard from the Minecraft community, it is time where I usher you all into the real, and that is where we are headed right now, folks, to the real. We are now in the real, folks. I did not have to search too far before finding some very interesting legends and lore on people with pig heads. For example, Wikipedia has an entire research page on pig women in Europe during the 1600s. I guess it was a very popular legend back then. However, I decided to not cover that today. Today in the realm, my friends, I thought it would be interesting to talk about the pig symbol in the Chinese Zodiac before telling you a creepypasta story of a Pigman. What is the Chinese Zodiac? According to Depts.washington.edu article titled History Chinese Lunar Calendar, the Chinese Zodiac started in the 5th century BCE in the Zhanguo period. This calendar was specifically designed as a way to measure time. It is based on a 60-year cycle where 12 animals represent a different year. And the pig is also one of the 12. In fact, it was the last one added to the calendar. This calendar was used to measure the years, months, days, and even hours. Each of these animals are also thought to determine the personality of that individual based on the birth year, which we are focusing on the year of the pig in this episode. Another interesting article written by Ruby Zoe, published on February 2nd, 2024, and found at www.chinahighlights.com. As I had mentioned, there are 12 animals that represent every year. These consist of the rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and, well, the pig. Each of these animals are also assigned a particular element in accordance with the year. For example, the wooden pig is the rarest and only occurs every 60 years. There are 4 other elements accompanying wood, which are fire, earth, gold, and water. Technically speaking, there are 5 different pigs, each pig with one of these elements. Each with a different element that I listed, I should be saying. These elements are also attached to all the other 11 animals in the Chinese zodiac. If you would like to know if you are a pig sign, then you will fall in one of these years I'm about to say. 1935, 1947, 1959, 1971, 1983, 1995, 2007, 2019, and the next year the pig will be in 2031. They come in 12-year intervals. The pig sign is considered to be a very fortunate one. Allow me to quote from the site about the personality of the pig. Quote, pigs are diligent, compassionate, and generous. They have great concentration. Once they set a goal, they will devote all their energy to achieving it. Though pigs rarely seek help from others, they will not refuse to give others a hand. Pigs never suspect trickery, so they are easily fooled. End quote. Sounds like a great sign to fall into, but just don't be fooled. If you're a pig out there, all these signs also have lucky numbers, colors, and cardinal directions associated with them, which I had no clue that there were lucky directions like north, east, south, or west in this. Lucky numbers for the pig are 2, 5, and 8. These are also numbers that include one of the 3 numbers I said in it, 2 of the 3, or any combo of those 3, such as, for example, 25, 58, 85, 52 are all examples of this. Same goes for the unlucky numbers. So that goes for the lucky, then the unlucky numbers, which are 1 and 7. So the examples of that would be 17 or 71, etc. The pig lucky colors are yellow, gray, brown, and gold. And their unlucky colors are red, blue, and green. So avoid those. And in case you need to know which directions to go in life, well, your lucky directions are east and southwest. And something I forgot to mention, there are lucky flowers as well. Hydrangeas and daisies happen to be the pig's preferred flora. That is just a very brief summary of the Chinese zodiac covering the pig. These can be very elaborate depending on the site that you find. I found a site called ChineseZodiacYears.com that I'll list in my description of the show that you can go click on. That has just a great deal of information on all the zodiac signs with the elements. For example, I am a fire rabbit. My animal in the year of 1987 is a rabbit and happens to be the elemental year of fire. So, fire rabbit. It just sounds funny. And you can type your year in that site and find out exactly what you are as well. I think they are kind of fun. However, I am not a believer in zodiacs. Now that we have some general knowledge of the Chinese zodiac, specifically on the pig, let's move on to something a little bit closer to the piglin in Minecraft. A terrifying myth that took place in a very small rural town called Northfield in the state of Vermont, USA. Upon researching the topic of pigmen and pig monsters and lore, I came upon an article posted on a website called Vermonter.com, written by William Alexander and titled The Totally Creepy Story of the Vermont Pigman. The title says it all right there, right? But this article goes into detail describing a creature that has white hairs all over a human-like body with a pig face. This legend was born in the year 1971 when a farmer, which wasn't named, heard a disturbance outside his home one night. Sounds were coming from the farmer's backyard in the middle of the night. This farmer had suspected to maybe find some raccoons rustling through his garbage cans, but when the farmer looked through the kitchen window and flashed on a light, they saw the beast looking back at them. Pig-faced, white hairs, covering the body and all. This was the first eyewitness account of the Pigman. It was not until a few days later that the second account of the Pigman emerged. A group of high schoolers who were at a high school dance were hanging around outside. And outside the school, the students encountered this heinous beast, and they just ran as fast as they could away from it. There wasn't too much detail in this report when I was reading. That's about all the information that I could retain from this. Now, these two accounts solidified the Pigman as a legend in the town of Northfield. It is said by the people in the community that it is a creature which is half man and half pig. Parents use this story as a tale of caution to prevent children from wandering into the woods. Some stories of the Pigman are told as violent ones, stating that he will do harm to individuals if encountered by it. The other side of the story is more light. It portrays the Pigman as more of a mischievous character who likes to play jokes and have fun. I would like to imagine the latter story, personally. Some people believe that the Pigman is a supernatural being. However, skeptics will argue that the Pigman is a hermit being mistaken as the Pigman. Some even say that the Pigman has the power to speak to animals. Now, that would be a pretty cool superpower. That could do a lot of damage if you think about it. I must point out that this article goes on to state that there is no scientific evidence to support that this entity exists. You could watch the YouTube video provided on this site, and I did a little. They go into the woods with a guy who claims to have encountered it in his youth. I did not watch the full 30, I think it's like a 20 to 30 minute video. I skipped around the video, and I will just say this. They don't find anything. Sorry. Spoiler alert. Too late. Believe it or not, they didn't find anything. However, the Pigman has cemented himself as a local legend around Northfield and is likely to remain that way for the foreseeable future. You can actually find t-shirts on Etsy with the Pigman on it for around $23. So if you're interested, type in the Pigman of Northfield, Vermont, and you can buy some t-shirts online. But Northfield is not the only the only place to have eyewitness reports of pigmen like creatures roaming around. In fact, accounts of pigmen encounters can be traced throughout the world and in different periods in time throughout history. It appears to me that the Pigman is like a Bigfoot of sorts, appearing around the globe and throughout history. The Pigman, no matter where seen, has common characteristics. It is typically seen as being bipedal, which means standing on 2 feet, like us, with a human body and a pig head. Some even say it has a tail, like a pig. Some accounts report this creature wearing clothes and carrying weapons. Does this sound familiar? I wonder if the Pigman is carrying a gold sword and wearing brown leather garments like our Piglins in the Nether. Who knows? But that brings us back to the Nether, folks, where we will be encountering our own Pigman called Piglins. Before we head there, though, it is important to remind you to bring some ingots of gold, and it would not hurt to wear a piece of gold armor. In fact, you should wear some gold. Otherwise, you will be attacked. Now, let's go into the realm. Welcome back to the realm, everyone, and back to the Nether. You should be getting used to this biome by now. Our third visit here this month. We are on the lookout for piglins on this trip, folks. minecraft.wiki.com has a great article on piglins. They go on to say that piglins are a neutral mob whom reside in the Nether, meaning they have the chance of not attacking you, hence that keyword there, neutral. Especially if you are wearing one piece of gold armor or something gold like I told you to do before we came into the realm. This will render them neutral if you're wearing this gold piece. Just do not open up a chest or mine gold in front of one. They are extremely greedy and will attack you if you mess with chests, shulker boxes, and mine for gold in front of them. Piglins reside primarily in 3 areas in the Nether: Bastion remnants, Crimson forests, and Nether wastelands, which take up most of the Nether. You know, those vast areas that are full of netherrack, lava, and hostile mobs. Now, before we go further into the piglin's behavior, let's explore its past and see when it entered the Minecraft universe. The piglin is a relatively new mob. They were introduced to us in 2019 on Java, but did you know that there was a predecessor to the piglin that almost came to be? Yes, there was a mob that almost took place of the piglin, and they were going to be called the Pigman, kind of similar to that story I told you in the reel. Now, the name piglin as we know it today was made that way to make the name of the mob gender neutral. The Pigman was a concept introduced to Notch, who was the creator of Minecraft by an individual who goes by Mike Lee. Notch loved this concept so much that they rewarded Mike Lee with a bacon cape. This concept was introduced on October 26, 2010, 9 years earlier than the release of the Piglin. They had some big ideas for this Pigman. They went as far as the plan for this Pigman to occupy villages in the overworld. Before going further about the Pigman, I should mention its appearance. They are very simple to describe. They look like the pig that you see roaming the overworld, but they are standing on 2 feet. These were naked, standing pigs that had the same size body as you, the player, in the game. They actually look just extremely creepy to me. Very off-putting. I did not know what to think of these images at first when I came across them. I think they are creepy because they are humanoid and naked. They give me some weird uncanny valley sensation. Something very off-putting about all of that, plus seeing it standing on 2 feet and having arms. However, they did discuss using the Pigman as something very neat that obviously never transpired. And that was for them that they were going to make the Pigman a bodyguard for the player, like a sidekick of sorts. This was talked about on April 14th, 2012, folks, 2 years after the concept of the Pigman was introduced by Mike Lee. So they had obviously been trying to develop this for some time, or at least had grand plans for it. I would have been curious to why they scrapped this mob, the Pigman. Why did the Pigman never make it into the Minecraft universe? Perhaps one day maybe they will dust off this character, and add it into the game. Maybe a decade from now. It would be kind of fun to have a sidekick to wander the overworld with, I think. Even if we do have wolves, I think it would still be very entertaining to have this function. However, the Pigman was put back on the back burner and has remained there since September 14th, 2012. Sorry, Pigman, it looks like you're going to be in the closet, just shelved away for a while. As I stated, the Piglin did not come into the public arena until its announcement at Minecon on September 28th, 2019. It wasn't until Valentine's Day that following year of 2020 that we were all introduced to the Piglin and the baby Piglin. which was finally made official into the Nether. I thought this was all very interesting to learn. I had no clue that there was a naked pigman almost put into Minecraft 12 years ago. I also did not realize how new the piglin is to Minecraft. As you all probably recall, I took 11 years off from the game. For some reason, I thought they were added maybe in my absence way earlier than 2020. Now that we have a good understanding of their roots and genesis into the game, let me tell you how these unusual creatures appear and behave. The piglin is a very unique looking mob to the game. It acts similar to a villager, but without the sophistication of one, meaning these are more ill-mannered. They seek wealth and gold. This is why they will typically spawn with a gold sword. If not a gold sword, then a crossbow. Baby piglins will not wield anything nor pick anything up, just to let you know. The adult piglin is the same size as you are and has a humanoid body but a pig skin. Their heads are that of a pig, but they have tusks, unlike the pigs in the overworld, and they have floppier ears and a more prominent pig snout. Also, they have Herobrine, blank, glaring white eyes. The piglin stands on 2 feet and, as I said, has a body shaped like the player's character. The piglin wears a brown leather tunic and pants with a golden belt buckle. The baby piglins look like miniature versions of the adults minus the weapons and armor. Yes, adult piglins have a chance of spawning with armor. In fact, they have a 34% chance of spawning with one piece of golden armor and a 50% chance of spawning with a sword or crossbow. Piglin farms, I think, would be very useful in getting a vast amount of quality weapons and armor. Just going into the Nether and battling them one-on-one like I do is also a way to gather loot, albeit not as effective as a farm, but hey, you got to make do with what you have at the time. Piglins like to travel in pairs or in hordes, between 2 and 4 at a time, so always be on the lookout, because if you encounter one, then it is likely more are close by. As I mentioned earlier, wear a piece of gold armor. I will keep saying this. I'll just keep saying this over and over. This will pacify them. Or if need be, throw gold down and run to shelter. But beware. Make sure you have a sturdy door, because piglins are able to open wooden doors and rush into your nether base. I did not know this when I built my first nether base in my world. I used basic wood doors, and it did not take too long for me to aggravate a group of piglins. I had rushed back to my base thinking that I had avoided death, but the horde just broke the door in and slaughtered me right then and there. However, gold will distract the greedy pigs. You will encounter them sometimes in full suits of gold armor, which may be enchanted as well. As I've already said, just as you have the ability to take their armor upon killing them, they could do the same to you. And I know this personally as well, also because I have been killed numerous times by these nether residents, just to come back to find them wielding my diamond weapons in iron armor. It's just always embarrassing to be attacked by your own forged sword. Talk about adding salt to an open wound. On top of them sporting your armor and wielding your weapons, you will have a somewhat tough time killing one of these, because they travel in groups, but they are also somewhat sturdy creatures with slightly less health than you, the player, or you. Remember, you have 20 health points. The piglin only has 8 hearts or 16 health points. That helps a bit, but remember, this is a horde of pigs shooting bolts at you and swinging gold swords. So just be prepared is all I'm saying. I just am trying to give you a little heads up there. I mean, just in case you aggravate these things. Now, there's aggravation stages. The piglin is a temperamental beast. They actually have different levels of aggravation. Allow me to explain this. As stated earlier, the piglin is neutral when you are wearing a piece of gold armor. But if you happen to not be wearing any gold when you encounter them, this will cause them to experience light aggravation, and they may provoke you. If you put on some armor real quick though, they will become neutral at this stage of temperament. You can neutralize them by doing so. The next stage of aggravation is called medium aggravation, where the piglin will be provoked to attack you if you are seen opening a chest or breaking gold blocks, as I stated earlier. If they catch you trying to extract gold out of the nether, they will attack. They love their gold. However, do not fret. At this stage in aggravation, they can still be distracted by gold. This may save you. Now, the final stage in aggravation is one that you cannot buy your way out of. This is called the heavy aggravation, and you should either be running by now or be prepared for battle. You will heavily aggravate them by damaging them, which makes sense. You drew first blood. Throwing gold at them will not distract them or make them neutral. You will just have to duke it out. There is a way around all this. You could simply drink an invisibility potion and open up chests and break gold blocks without them becoming aggravated. And if fully invisible, meaning if you drink the invisibility potion and do not wear any armor whatsoever, you can then attack piglins without them retaliating against you. This is the only mob in the game that this can be done to, which I think is extremely useful information. You can be like an assassin, an invisible assassin, especially while wandering the nether. Every trick and tip helps to survive this dimension. If you are attacked by a piglin, they will come at you in hordes. And if they are wielding a crossbow, make sure to raise your shield. You will want to deflect the bolts that they shoot, and they will shoot rather fast. They can send bolts in 2-second intervals. If they do manage to kill you as your screen pans out upon death, you will then hear the sounds of celebratory pig grunts. Yes, they will celebrate your demise. A quick side note here. They will also hunt hoglins that reside in the nether. Once they kill the hoglin, they will break out into a celebratory dance. It's actually quite funny to see them dancing. And another fun fact, baby piglins will play with hoglins and even ride them. Up to 3 baby piglins can stack on top of each other and ride a hoglin. I have never witnessed this, but I cannot wait to get a camera shot of this when I do. Now, let's talk briefly about bartering with piglins. Some players barter with piglins for their unique items that they will give back to you. First off, you need to be wearing 1 piece of gold armor before you attempt to barter with a piglin. Just get in the habit of wearing gold around piglins. And secondly, you just need to bring a gold ingot or ingots, plural, depending on how much you want to barter. You then just throw this down or use it with the mob. The piglin will then take the gold ingot, stand there, and bring it up close to its snout and blank white eyes to examine it. The gold fiend gets lost in its intrinsic beauty. The piglin will then toss something back to you. Let's hear from a Redditor called Secrets from Beyond 79 who says, quote, soul speed enchantment books and spectral arrows, end quote. That is what they like to barter for. I have never heard of these 2 items before, and so I had to look them up. Soul Speed enchantment books, according to minecraft.wiki, allow you to apply this enchantment on your boots, which enables you to walk quickly across soul sand and soul soil. So this turns out to be extremely useful in the biome that you are in fact bartering in. Spectral arrows are, quote, similar to regular arrows. Players can pick up spectral arrows that have been shot by dispensers or other players in survival or adventure mode. Unlike regular arrows, spectral arrows shot by an infinity enchanted bow can be picked up as they are not affected by the enchantment, end quote. I am going to go barter with a piglin and get an infinity enchanted bow. I think that would be extremely useful to be able to reuse ammunition. Also, that makes it so much more realistic being able to retrieve your arrows. Besides those 2 items, the Piglin can also barter ender pearls, splash potion of fire resistance, obsidian and crying obsidian, blackstone, quartz, and string. Those are just a few more items you can acquire from them. They can trade more as well. Bartering with a Piglin may be just a worthwhile endeavor. It seems that you can get some very useful items from them. That is all I have on the Piglin for this week, folks. But that is not the end of this week's show quite yet. I have a couple of Piglin variations that are in Minecraft, the Piglin Brute and the Zombie Piglin. I will begin with the Piglin Brute. This is a mob that I have yet to see, nor have I heard of until I researched Piglins. Probably because I have not encountered a Nether bastion yet. The Piglin Brute only resides in these places, the Nether bastions, and that is a good thing because the Piglin Brute is a vicious and malicious character. This beast has a max health of 25 hearts, totaling out to 50 health points. We, as the player, only have 20 hearts, remember, folks? They also will not be distracted by gold. They only have the desire to kill you upon sight, and they do so by hacking you to death with golden axes. The brutes are not immune to lava or fire, which I failed to mention that the Piglin is also not immune to lava or fire damage. Piglins and Piglin Brutes also cannot swim and can drown if submerged in water. Another thing that the Brute and Piglin have in common is they both will turn into a zombie Piglin when they go to the overworld or the end dimensions. Now, this brings me to the zombie Piglin. The zombie Piglin will coexist with Piglins, but if a Piglin gets too close to a zombie Piglin, it will squeal and run away. Frightened maybe by existential shock. I don't know. It's kind of funny. All zombified Piglins will spawn with a golden sword. These zombies are considered to be a neutral mob and will typically ignore you, which is a relief. The zombified Piglin can generate besides naturally generating. If a pig in the overworld is struck by lightning, it will transform into a zombie Piglin. That's what I mean by not being naturally generated, just spawning. If a pig in the overworld gets struck by lightning, it will transform to a zombie Piglin. Isn't that crazy? Now, there's a lot of theories behind that online. Also, if a Piglin or Piglin Brute are transported to the overworld or to the end, they will transform into a zombified Piglin in 15 seconds. This to me says that there is something in the atmosphere that causes this horrible effect to take place. Perhaps fungal spores inhabit the overworld and transform them into zombies. That's just a side theory. I must warn you though, try not to provoke a zombified Piglin. They are stronger than regular healthy Piglins. These zombies have 20 hearts like you do, which makes the zombie version of the Piglin 2 hearts stronger. I hope that this information proves to be useful to you all out there about to explore the Nether. It is a very hostile environment, but if you play smart by incorporating these tips that I have been providing you over the past 3 episodes, you will be able to survive and possibly thrive in that heinous place if so desired. And we have much more yet to cover over the Nether. The Piglin is a worthy adversary if provoked or if it feels threatened. But with the proper precautions, you can use the Piglin to your advantage. These creatures are much more intelligent and useful than you first realize. With the ability to barter with these creatures by giving them gold ingots, can be just a great way to acquire some precious items such as quartz, enchanted books, potions, obsidian, ender eyes, and much more. But if they are provoked, then you will likely be mauled by a horde of these. And they can open doors, so remember to use gates or iron doors with diamond pressure plates. Watch out for their crossbow attacks as well, and watch out for the Pigman in real life as well. Or the legend of the Pigman, I should say, in Northfield, Vermont. Who would have known Who would have known that accounts of Pigman have been seen throughout history and in a small town in the United States? Be on the lookout, people. And with that said, I have nothing further to say on the matter of Piglins or Pigmen. I wish you all a great rest of your week, and I look forward to seeing you all on next Thursday for a brand new Realm News. Happy crafting, everyone. The Dark Lord signing out. Hello, fellow Minecraftians. The Dark Lord here. I just want to say that I appreciate you listening to my episodes covering Minecraft. Tell all of your friends who love to play Minecraft about Realm News and tell them to follow the show. I would not be making this if it wasn't for your support, so hit that follow button wherever you listen to podcasts. Tell them what the show is all about. I am sure that they would like to hear it if they are into anything Minecraft. Every follow is a huge help. Every rating and comment that you leave is also much appreciated. And let's build a vibrant Realm News community. You can find my email, Realm News Reddit page, and Twitter, now X page, all at bio.link/Realm News, all undercase. I plan on having a Realm News website in the near future, or at least that's the goal. I think that would make everything more convenient for everyone. So stay tuned to that in the future, and I will see you all soon.